Proteins have various functions in the body, ranging from transport, cell structure, and muscle fibers. The proteins actin and myosin take, for instance, care of muscle contraction. So how does your body obtain all these proteins? Well, not from your food. Your body makes all these proteins itself. Every cell in your body has its own protein factories on board, the ribosomes. The raw materials for these proteins, the amino acids, are partially sourced from your food and are partially produced by your own body. So you eat proteins to obtain amino acids and not to obtain protein because you make all of these yourself. Our DNA is basically the blueprint and instruction manual for your body to create the proteins it needs. This mRNA string is derived from your DNA and is prepared to be processed by the ribosomes. All amino acids have their own matching codon, or in other words, a unique combination of 3 nucleotides, the building blocks of DNA. So you can imagine that in this way, your DNA also prescribes the ratio of how many of each amino acid you need to build your own proteins. Let's see how your body obtains amino acids to better understand why this ratio matters. Only separate amino acids are absorbed into the bloodstream, so proteins first need to be broken down to the separate amino acids that it was built from. Essential amino acids only come from your food. The non-essential amino acids can also be synthesized by your own body. The amino acids from your food that are absorbed into your bloodstream are transported to all your cells, including your muscle cells. As just was shown, our DNA and your protein needs determine the ratio in which you need the amino acids. An ideal protein delivers the amino acids in the same ratio as they are required. See here what would happen if the amino acids are not delivered in the ratio in which they are needed. Some amino acids are supplied more than needed and other amino acids too little. As a result, some amino acids are piling up, while the shortage of others blocks the protein synthesis. While the building of proteins is blocked by shortage of the one, the abundance of the other forces your body to include them in your pee. Therefore, only a part of the protein can be used for new proteins, the rest is excreted. So the protein you eat can only be used up to the availability of the first limiting amino acid. In other words, the essential amino acid your body can only get from food, and which is delivered in such little amounts that it blocks protein synthesis. Unfortunately, plant proteins are less similar to the proteins your body wants to make, so contain more limiting amino acids. That is exactly why Silverback Protein is enriched with essential amino acids to achieve a ratio which is as much in line as possible with the ratio your body needs them in. When you look, for instance, at rice protein, you see that it is especially short on lysine, its first limiting amino acid. This significantly hampers protein conversion, as can be concluded from its biological value of 59. This represents the extent to which the protein can be converted into your own protein. Despite these limitators, rice protein serves as a base for very expensive brands. When we look at pea protein, you see that it's short on methionine, that protein's first limiting amino acid. As can be concluded from the relatively low biological value of 65, this also substantially limits the synthesis. Nonetheless, some famous and expensive brands are solely based on pea protein. But even if you would solve that for both, for instance by combining them, it would simply run into the second limiting amino acid, the third, fourth, and so on. Unfortunately, this applies to all plant protein blends. Silverback protein, however, has been enriched with a carefully determined matrix of essential amino acids. So not only does it contain much more essential amino acids in general, The matrix ensures there are virtually no limiting amino acids. So if you supplement with protein powder, why use powder with many non-essential amino acids, which your body could have made itself anyway, right? Especially because the essential ones in protein determine how much muscle mass you can build with it. So the higher the share of essential amino acids, the more valuable your protein is. There's even more than this, because there also is a very special essential amino acid, leucine. This amino acid is in large numbers present in your muscle proteins. It also plays a key role in MPS, which is short for muscle protein synthesis. The more leucine in your cell plasma, the higher the MPS and the better and faster you recover. So if you want to fully support your body's recovery and muscle tissue growth, use Silverback Protein. It contains the most essential amino acids, and it contains those in an optimized ratio. And last but not least, it contains the most leucine of all protein powders. So Silverback Protein sets the standard and is the new reference for all protein powders. Now you also understand why smart people use Silverback Protein.